Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by asking you all a question. How many of you have ever felt fear or anxiety in your life? I'm sure every one of you has experienced these emotions at some point or another. Fear and anxiety are a normal part of the human experience. But when they become overwhelming and debilitating, they can prevent us from living our best lives. Today, I want to talk to you about addressing fear and anxiety in your life. It's easy to ignore these feelings or push them to the side. But doing so can have severe consequences for our mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. That's why it's so important to face our fears and work through our anxieties so that we can live fulfilling and successful lives. Throughout this speech, I will be outlining some strategies for overcoming fear and anxiety and discussing the benefits of facing your fears head-on. But before we get into that, let me give you a preview of what's to come. First, we'll talk about what fear and anxiety are, and why they can be so difficult to deal with. Then, we'll dive into some of the root causes of fear and anxiety, and discuss how to identify these causes in our own lives. After that, we'll explore some strategies for overcoming fear and anxiety and discuss the benefits of facing our fears head-on. And finally, I'll leave you with some actionable steps that you can take to begin addressing your own fears and anxieties. So, get ready to be inspired and empowered as we tackle the challenge of overcoming fear and anxiety together. Fear and anxiety are natural human responses that have evolved over millions of years to keep us safe from danger. When we feel fear or anxiety, our bodies release hormones like adrenaline, which can prepare us to fight or flee from a threat. However, while fear and anxiety can be helpful in certain situations, they can also become dysfunctional and interfere with our daily lives. When fear and anxiety become overwhelming and persistent, they can prevent us from taking risks, pursuing our goals, and enjoying life to the fullest. In short, they can hold us back from reaching our full potential. So, how can we identify when fear and anxiety have become problematic in our lives? There are many common fears and anxieties that people experience, including fear of failure, fear of rejection, social anxiety, and generalized anxiety disorder. If you find yourself avoiding certain situations or activities because of fear or anxiety, or if you're constantly worrying about things that are out of your control, it may be time to seek help. The good news is that there are many strategies and techniques that can help us overcome our fears and anxieties, and we will be exploring those later in this speech. But first, it's important to recognize that fear and anxiety are normal parts of the human experience, and we shouldn't feel ashamed or embarrassed for experiencing them. So, let's take a deep breath, acknowledge our fears and anxieties, and commit to working through them so that we can live our best lives. Now that we've established what fear and anxiety are, and how they can impact our lives, let's talk about how to identify the root causes of these emotions. Without understanding the underlying factors that contribute to our fear and anxiety, it can be difficult to address them effectively. So, how do we identify the root causes of fear and anxiety? One effective approach is through self-reflection and introspection. By taking the time to examine our thoughts, beliefs, and past experiences, we can gain insight into what triggers our fear and anxiety, and how it affects us. However, it's important to note that identifying the root causes of fear and anxiety can be a difficult and sometimes painful process. If you find yourself struggling to do this on your own, seeking the help of a mental health professional can be incredibly beneficial. They can provide support and guidance as you work through your emotions, and help you identify and address the underlying factors that contribute to your fear and anxiety. Some common root causes of fear and anxiety include past trauma, negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and unresolved emotional issues. By identifying these factors, we can begin to take steps towards healing and overcoming our fear and anxiety. Remember, the process of identifying and addressing the root causes of fear and anxiety can be a journey. And it's important to be patient and compassionate with ourselves along the way. By taking the time to understand our emotions and their underlying causes, we can create a foundation for lasting change and personal growth. So, let's commit to this process, and take the necessary steps towards understanding and addressing the root causes of our fear and anxiety. Welcome to the final section of our talk on overcoming fear and anxiety. Now, let's talk about how we can actually overcome these powerful emotions. There are many different strategies and techniques for managing and overcoming fear and anxiety. And what works for one person may not work for another. It's important to find what works for you as an individual, and to be open to trying new things. One effective technique for overcoming fear and anxiety is exposure therapy, which involves gradually exposing oneself to the feared situation or object in a safe and controlled environment. This can help to desensitize us to the fear or anxiety, and build confidence in our ability to cope with the situation. Mindfulness is another powerful tool for managing fear and anxiety. By staying present in the moment and focusing on our breath, we can calm our minds and reduce feelings of stress and anxiety. It's also important to recognize the benefits of facing our fears and working through our anxieties. When we avoid our fears, they can become more powerful and overwhelming. But when we confront them, we can build resilience and confidence in our ability to handle difficult situations. Remember, overcoming fear and anxiety is a journey, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small, and be kind and patient with yourself along the way. So, let's commit to finding what works for us as individuals, and to facing our fears with courage and resilience. With time, practice, and the right tools and techniques, we can overcome fear and anxiety and live our best lives. As we come to the end of our talk, let's take a moment to recap the main points we've covered today. We began by discussing the importance of addressing fear and anxiety in our lives, and how they can become dysfunctional and interfere with daily life. We then explored how to identify the root causes of our fears and anxieties, and the importance of self-reflection and seeking professional help if needed. We then moved on to strategies for overcoming fear and anxiety, such as exposure therapy and mindfulness, and the benefits of facing our fears and working through our anxieties. I hope that you found these ideas and techniques helpful and empowering, and that you're feeling inspired to take steps towards overcoming your own fears and anxieties. Remember, this is a journey, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. But by committing to facing our fears and working through our anxieties, we can build resilience and confidence, and live our best lives. So, I challenge you to take action today. Identify one fear or anxiety that's been holding you back, and take a small step towards confronting it, whether it's reaching out for professional help, practicing mindfulness, or taking a small step towards exposure therapy. Every action you take is a step towards overcoming fear and anxiety. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I wish you all the best in your own journey towards a life free from fear and anxiety.